Warframe is a game that has a lot of different missions, and they're split into quite a few different types. 30, according to the wiki, but 37 by my count. And your number may vary depending on what you consider to be a mission type. There may be one more, but I haven't had the chance to play Deep Arc Media because I've been, let's call it, distracted. If you want to watch my first time playing the missions, I'm live almost every day on Twitch, and some of those days I even play Warframe. Recently, I used a very strict and not at all arbitrary system to rank each mission type. Here's how that went. So how am I going to rank these? Like, what are the, like, you might be wondering, what are the sort of conditions? Like, what makes an S tier? What makes an A tier? B, C, D? Let's start with alchemy. Really, I mean, alchemy is one of the Sanctum Anatomica missions. You enter, enemies drop these little, like, things that are of the 4 base elements. You don't have to remember what combinations, they tell you which ones. Once you get all of them to the max, or both of them rather, it's just 2, to the max level, you have to keep the like pressure in the right area. I believe it's pressure, it might be heat, as it slowly heats up. As long as you don't have people who just pop all of the pressure vents at the same time, it's a pretty fun one to run. A for alchemy. Arena, this is specifically the arenas on Sedna, where you get arena points to fight Kayla. So besides the fact that it opens up Kayla, which is where you get Saren, so that's real good. These are some of the best endo farms in the game if you have the right setup. And it's just normal. Kill enemies before they kill you. Not much else to say about it. I'm probably going to overrate a lot of these missions, but A for arena. Assassination. Sprint over to the boss, kill the boss. Some bosses are more annoying than others, but this is how you actually get new Warframes. In general, boss fights are kind of cool. I'm trying to think of the boss fights that I find annoying. And honestly, it's only when you don't know what you're doing on the boss fights. It's when you don't know what you're doing, some boss fights are annoying. Once you do know, they're pretty normal missions. We'll put assassination goes in B for assassination. And I have played every mission type here at least once, usually more, but that I don't remember what they are. I don't remember what they all are. The prime example of that being Assault. Assault is Kuva Fortress Sabotage. That's good to know. I mean, it's Sabotage, but it's long. It's on the Kuva Fortress, which is, depending on how you like it. I feel like the best part about Sabotage missions is that for the most part, you can complete them pretty quickly as long as you know what you're doing. Assault kind of changes that, but it's not like you're locked in for a specific. I mean, you've got the defense that like locks you in for a certain amount of time, but that's another B tier. Ambient Drift. When I talk about this goes for Cambion Drift, this goes for Orb Valis, and this goes for Plains of Eidolon. I am talking about both free roam and bounties. So, how fun is like the free roaming, but also how good are the bounties, not including, ISO vaults. I'm not counting those as the bounties for Cambion Drift. The orbs, I'm not counting the orbs as bounties for Orb Valis. I am, however, counting Eidolons as the bounty for Plains of Eidolon. You might be saying, why are you doing that? That doesn't make any sense. It's because I forgot to add them to the list. Whoops. But Cambion Drift. It's not hard. It's got decent rewards. I'm also trying not to rank them too much based on their rewards, but some things are kind of unavoidable. Arena being an amazing endo farm, you kind of can't avoid that. Assassination being one of the only ways besides Plat to get new Warframes. And, relics, but those are for primes. It's kind of unavoidable. But I mean, Cambion Drift, how fun is it to play? You zoom around. This is kind of what I'm going to go for all the open worlds. You zoom around in your Arcwing. You drop your Necromech at the bounty site. The mining is really annoying because, and fishing, actually the fishing in Cambion Drift sucks, but the mining in all of them is really annoying because you just constantly get interrupted. C tier, because the fishing's bad. It would be B tier if the fishing was better, which, you know, kind of spoils where Orb Valis and Plains of Eidolon are going. I should also add an F tier. F tier, garbage trash. Capture, S tier. Oop, S tier, easy. Some of the best missions in the game. Capture, they are fast. You go in, you just sprint to the point. You take out the enemy. If you need Nightwave complete a mission, you do capture. If you're trying to open a bunch of relics, you do capture. You can complete it really quickly. If you're trying to get like resources from an area, technically, yeah, survival might be better, but I'm thinking more like rare resources. If you're trying to get like Argon crystals from the void, capture is one of the best places to do that because you can just run in, complete the objective, and then go run around and search for Argon crystals. Or Oricincels, there are much better farms. And yeah, technically survival is better, exterminate's better because it forces you to kill more enemies, but capture is still S tier. Defection. Okay, I am biased on defection. 100% I am biased on defection. For one reason, and one reason alone. I have only ever run defection missions solo. I have never run defection missions in a squad, which is why I don't have Harrow yet. I believe I don't have Harrow, at least. Yes, I'm fairly certain I do not have Harrow because defection. So it's like, on one hand, the only way to get Harrow. On the other hand, it's really annoying to try and keep these guys alive and keep them moving without a good setup. I also haven't played them in a long time, so maybe now that I actually have like good weapons in the game, that could be better. But since this is my personal opinion on all these things, D tier. Defense. I should have thought out the color of this text when I was writing it all on top of these things, but I didn't. So, defense is real easy. Defense is the first one that I think I'm going to bring up. I am not going to talk about the alternate versions. Like when you do super high level stuff, the defense target walks around. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about star chart defense. And here's the thing. As a verified Wisp enjoyer, because of the scales, nothing else, I really like Wisp's skills. Defense is A tier. You just throw down your motes on top of the defense target. And make sure to move around every once in a while so you don't lose your rewards to the AFK warning. Not much else to say about it. You sit on your defense target, you kill the enemies that come towards you. It's also real nice because I do quite enjoy like Saren as well. The only reason that if I was just a Saren guy, I'd probably put defense in D instead of A. But the reason it goes in A is because I also like Wisp. Sorry, did I say D? I meant B. Just because with Saren you typically lose your spores between waves. That brings us to Isolation Vaults. Isolation Vaults are a special type of bounty on the Cambion Drift, where you have to defend a little. Well, you have to go collect residue, bring it back to a little thing, little defense target. You defend it for a bit, and then you go into the actual vault. It's kind of like a mix of a lot of game modes, because it's, first it's defense. You go collect the residue, you bring it back, then it's defense. Then when you first enter the area before the vault, it's survival. You have to keep killing enemies. Then you go in and it's almost like an assassination where you have to kill a necromech. Then there's also the helping Lloyd around, which is kind of like mobile defense. First thought, probably A tier. but it's getting knocked down to B because fuck Scintillant. Disruption. Disruption is great. You kill enemies. Some enemies drop keys. You bring those keys to key slots. I can't remember what they're called for the life of me. But you bring them over to the key slots. Then you have to defend that until a demo unit will spawn. You have to defend. You have to kill the demo unit. If the demo unit makes it to the defense target, it explodes after like 2 or 3 seconds. You fail. Disruption is really fun because if you have like a good squad setup, you can clear it really quick. You just set up the keys, you listen, you hear the beeps that the demo unit runs off, you go and delete it. Disruption is an S tier mission. And I know I said I was going to try to avoid talking about the rewards, but Disruption is also the best way to farm relics. At least Axii relics. You just go to, I think it's the Sedna Disruption. Easy way to farm Axii relics. Excavation. Go-to point. It drops a defense target. I'm noticing a lot of these are just defense targets. It drops a defense target. You need to kill specific enemies that drop power cells. Once they get powered enough, it's just a defense. You just don't let it die. C for cryotic, since excavation missions are the only way to get cryotic. Exploiter orb. Just fight Profit Taker instead. It's better. Seriously though, I think I'm probably gonna keep Exploiter orb in D. But Exploiter orb, assuming we're just talking about the final phase. You have to go to the like old hideout for Solaris United. You throw the little heat rods at the spider. It runs away. You go out and kill it. It's just kind of annoying, and it's kind of an annoying fight to do. And then the rewards also aren't amazing. I think the Exploiter Orb actually gives you the highest ranking toroids. So that's worth it. Yeah, actually, just because of that. If you're trying to get Vox Solaris standing, Exploiter Orb is technically better than Profit Taker, but Profit Taker also gives you a ton of credits. So I'd say take the hit to your standing gain and just take Profit Taker instead. Extermination, A tier. Slightly slower capture. Instead of killing one thing, you have to kill a bunch of things, but if you kind of just work your way towards the exit with a big AoE weapon, you still take it out real quickly. I feel like it's basically the most basic of missions. Kill a bunch of enemies. Hijack. This is one of those. This is another one that I kind of forgot. Find a room which holds the objective. Activate a console to release it. Travels along a preset path to extraction. The objective will siphon power from your shields in order to move. Hijack. It's not great. The thing is it's just defense again. And it's defense, but the target moves. But you can just stand on top of the target. And it's not like, as long as you're paying attention, it's not like you'll ever die. It's not like it'll ever die. I mean, it's just B tier defense. If I put defense at A, I really can't put hijack anywhere lower than a B. And then infested salvage. Infested salvage is where you get Nidus. I mean, I've definitely done a couple of these, but I do not remember them. It's kind of fun. I know I put defense so high because you get to just stand still, but I kind of do like the ones where you have to like bounce around. Right, so this one, it's like you have to collect the anti-serum, bring them to a bunch of things. I'll put it B as well. Speaking of endless mission types, interception, easy F. Junctions, these are the junctions between planets. You only ever do them twice each, as far as I understand. Once when you first get to them, and once when you get to them again in Steel Path. You just fight like an AI-controlled Warframe. It's kind of like assassination, but it's not repeatable. The first clear rewards are good, but I almost feel like that's separate from the junction, even though it's literally not. It's just slightly worse assassination. Mirror defense. B tier. It's defense, but it's annoying because you'll occasionally have to move between the two spots. That's all there is to it. Mobile defense. I feel like I'd be a little bit of a hypocrite if I didn't put mobile defense and mirror defense at the exact same point. Granted, with mirror defense, you bounce back and forth. That's only if you continue infinite. Mobile defense isn't an infinite mission, but it's just defense where you bounce between points. They're the same thing. Netrocells, S tier, easy. Again, I'm only talking about rewards sometimes, but great source of Archon shards and arcanes. But it's high level content that's fun. You know, you can still get gear and builds where you can just like absolutely delete entire screens of enemies, but it's still fun to do. It gets S tier. A lot of high-end content gets S tier. I say high-end, and then Capture and Disruption are also up here. Orb Valis. Kind of spoiled this one with the Cambion Drift. It's the exact same as Cambion Drift to me, except the fishing is better. That's all there is to it. Orphix. Orphix is a really weird mission type. It's a Railjack mission, first of all. It's a survival mission, almost, where you have to defeat these like weird guys that spawn. You get forced into operator mode. And I'm reading the wiki now about this. Originally I was like, oh, Orphix is going to be like D tier. Orphix is jumping up to C tier because you're supposed to use your Necromech. And I was like, wow, Orphix is horrible. I hate Orphix. And then I'm reading the wiki, and you can use your Necromech. And I was like, it's just so annoying to kill the Orphixes, having to use like a shitty amp or even a good amp. I have like a mid-tier amp. But still, it's Railjack into survival. Not great, but it's not horrible. C tier. Plains Vitalon is Orb Valis. That's it. They're the same. It came out earlier, so it has some different stuff to it, but it's an open world with good fishing. I don't know why, I just really don't like the Cambion Drift fishing. But Plains Vitalon is good open world fishing. Oh, I forgot, actually. Plains Vitalon goes to A tier because I forgot that I'm including the Eidolon hunts. Profit Taker, S tier. Remember when I said Exploiter Orb, just fight Profit Taker? Profit Taker, Chroma, if you have a credit booster, you can easily get 500,000 credits in a single run if you have a good setup. And again, I know I was saying I'm not going to talk about rewards all the time. Too bad, this is my show. Pursuit. Pursuit is an Archwing mission type. You just have to chase after a courier and shoot it in specific places. It's kind of just like Archwing Capture. Puts it in B tier. Rescue. Rush into a point, rescue a guy, ignore the fact that you're supposed to stay undetected, and then sprint to the exit. As long as everyone can make it to the exit before the rescue target bleeds out, you'll be fine. Rescue, kind of like Capture, but slower. I really don't like Rescue. I was gonna say A tier. You know what? The only reason I was gonna say C tier is because I didn't want to overfill the B tier. But a lot of stuff is just like, it's just okay. It's just good missions. Rush. Rush is another Archwing mission, which means it's limited to like probably B at most. You have to just rush to the transport. Okay, it's almost like almost a capture assassination type thing with 3 targets. Actually, that again, I have done all these, but it's just probably been a while for Rush. Reading through it, I'm remembering it though. Seems fun. Sabotage, A tier. I know there's like different sabotages depending on whether it's Corpus, Grenier, or Infested, and I think it's also like the Archwing one. But they're typically pretty fast. You run through, you sabotage a couple objectives. Depending, you might have to do like, like a 60-second defense or something like that. And then you run to the exit. They're fast mission. It's basically like a mix to me between capture, which is extremely fast, and like an extermination or a defense. So, same tier as defense. These also aren't sorted. Once I put everything in its tiers, I'll go through and sort them. Sanctuary Onslaught. Easy S tier. This is both Sanctuary Onslaught normal and elite combined. If it were just normal, if the normal and elite were separate, elite would be S tier, normal would be like C tier. But extremely good. Elite Sanctuary Onslaught is extremely good for leveling up weapons. And once you reach Mastery Rank 30, which I'll be honest, I haven't even done yet, you can get your Warframes if you've formed them once. Plus, it gets you what's the word? Your relics. You get void relics that already have like some void traces installed in them. Very nice. Skirmish is A tier. It is basically the exterminate of Railjack. You go in, you kill a bunch of fighters, occasionally cruise ships will come out. You have to get cruise ships. I believe you have to disable them, get them down to low health, but you can't defeat them with normal fire. You can either jump out into your Arcwing, or you can use your heavy ordnance. They're the exterminate of Railjack missions, and even though Railjack is kind of a smaller portion than the rest of the game, I still quite enjoy it. So we count that. Exterminate, but Railjack. Very good. Spy. Here's the thing. Spy with Wukong, A tier. Spy without Wukong, D tier. We're throwing it in D tier. Because if your mission has to rely on being played by a certain Warframe to be good, it's not good. And this is not extremely hypocritical, because I was like, oh, defense, you can kind of just sit still with Wisp. But you can also sit still with like a max range, max strength Volt, or with a Saren, or with, like, there's so many. There's so many Warframes on defense, whereas Spy, your only option to like go zoomy fast is Wukong, or just know the layouts well enough that once you trigger the alarm, you can make it over there fast enough. Spy is D tier. Survival, S tier, for survival specifically. But survival is quite similar to defense. You go around killing things, they drop life support capsules. You can also activate the life support to get even more, but you almost never need to. The reason why it gets to be an S tier, where defense only gets to be an A tier, they're quite similar missions. They're kind of endless, like, missions based on the number 5. The reason why survival gets to be S tier is because you can move around, bounce around and whatnot, but you also can just go find a corner and throw down your Strangle Dome as Korra. Not much else to it. You almost never run out of life support as long as you keep killing enemies. Super chill, not really that tough. Really good for like a chill Void Relic experience, especially because it's infinite, so you can get the bonuses. Index, A tier. Extremely good credit farm if you aren't confident or capable in taking down the Profit Taker. Not much else to say. Pick someone like a Rhino or a Revenant. Take a high damage weapon. Go in, kill the guys, collect the things, bring them back to your home base. You can get a lot of credits. Again, slower than Profit Taker, but much, much easier to set up. Void Armageddon. Void Armageddon is defense. It is mirror defense. It's around as 3 defense waves, so you bounce back between A and B and A, I believe. And then at the end of the 3rd wave, you fight a Void Angel, which goes directly for the basic thing, like the center defense target, which normal enemies only go after if the other things are destroyed. Void Armageddon's A tier. It's mirror defense, but instead of literally just being mirror defense, first of all, you can build little turrets, which, hell yeah, tower defense. And then you have to fight Void Angels. Void Angels are always fun to fight. I think these are easier Void Angels, if I remember correctly. Yeah. First of all, they don't drop as good stuff, but they are much easier to kill. And I like fighting Void Angels, so it's my list. I get to put it at A tier. Void Cascade is the one where you have to, like, almost defense-like objectives spawn. You are forced into operator form inside of them. You can shoot them with your amp, or I think apparently you can sling through them. Cool. You then destroy the, like, you shoot the thing that spawns from that, again with void damage still, and then you have to kill a Centurion, a Thrax Centurion, and then you just keep killing enemies. It's basically like a mix of mobile defense and survival. I don't think I can put it anywhere other than A. Void Flood, Titania. So the thing with Void Flood, my first thought was A tier. Void Flood is you go around, you collect blue orbs, you can see some of them in the picture, and then you bring them to basically terminals where they get sealed. Once you seal enough terminals, some Thrax attackers spawn, you kill them. Nah, it goes B. I was going to throw it in A right away. It's really easy as Titania. But when I think about Void Flood, the thing I most think about is the fact that you have to do Void Flood missions to evolve the, like, base Incarnon missions. Weapons, rather, not missions. You know, the Latum, the Fenmore, the whatever else. Which brings us to our final mission, Volatile. Perhaps my least played mission type, which is why I have the wiki page open for it, so I can give myself a reminder. Railjack, okay. Oh, it's kind of like the basis of alchemy. It's Railjack alchemy, and that means it came out first, so I think alchemy is technically just non-Railjack Volatile. I mean, I think this one's kind of obvious. It's A tier. It's A or B, is the question. And I think, where did I put Skirmish? I put Skirmish in A. So I feel like I kind of have to put Volatile in A. You know, Extermination, Railjack Extermination, Alchemy, Railjack Alchemy, even though, you know, Volatile came out first. So, now, that is all of them ranked. Rather, that is all of them put into tiers. That's my S tier done. I probably should have gone from the bottom up now that I think about it. You know, kind of leave some suspense, but whoops. That looks good to me. You know what? That looks good to me. Here we go. Exploiters after Junction, that's about it. Spy is better than Defection. There we go. Final list. So now that they're all ranked, this is, in my opinion, the proper order of every single Warframe mission type. And you can fight me on that. In fact, I welcome it. I was kind of hoping that would take long enough that the update would be out.